One power, invisible, and just see it everywhere and every day. One power, indescribable, and just speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power.
Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Atlanta, where you are welcome. Such is the nature of life, that all it asks and all it wants is the opportunity to appear. And you are that opportunity, and so am I. And so it is. We are a strong, open, globally connected community centered on the clarity of principle through teaching, service, and practice. We create a safe and respectful environment that supports healthy spiritual growth. That's our vision statement. Whoever you are, whatever brought you here, we are glad you're here. Whether you're in person, online, or hearing this later, we are glad you are here. So now, for a better understanding of who we are and what we teach, please listen to our Declaration of Principles as written by our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes.
I believe
in one God,
one absolute power and first cause to all things.
I believe that this power is perfect love
and creates out of a desire to express love.
I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience.
I believe in the unity of all life
and the immortality of the individual soul,
forever unfolding.
I believe
in the eternal goodness,
the eternal goodness of God,
the eternal loving kindness,
and the eternal givingness of God to all.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is. Welcome back. So that was our Declaration of Principles. And so we have practitioners, and a practitioner is someone who's demonstrated the ability to use spiritual practice and spiritual laws to bring about great changes in their lives. And they've demonstrated that they know how to bring about these changes in others when asked. Licensed by Centers for Spiritual Living, they are available to you to provide spiritual guidance and support in those areas where you're looking for assistance. And you can contact them through our website at cslmidtown.org. Today, we have one of our wonderful practitioners to share with us good ideas and an affirmative prayer called the Spiritual Mind Treatment. This morning, we've got Norma Roberts. Thanks.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone here. I'm so glad to be here with you. And before we really get into the talk, I have something I would like to share with you. I read in the Unity magazine this morning. It says, magnificence, radiance, and tremendous power. These are the awe-inspiring qualities that describes the glory of God. Because I am a living expression of spirit, these glorious attributes are also part of my spiritual nature. In the peace of prayer, exquisite awareness of God's glory fills my mind and heart. Everyone is God's living expression. a reflection of divine glory, just as I am. Even when my limited human perception has not yet perceived it, my faith shows me this truth about every person I meet. As my awareness of glory within awakens, spiritual wisdom, understanding, and love teach me to cooperate with all who seek to build greater harmony, abundance, and compassion among all humankind. This was today's lesson. But now we have been instructed that mind creates all. To many individuals, this idea is difficult to accept, express, or explain. However, there's a way that the spirit that I am, that you are, will recognize the way and the how of creation and showing that it is not what it appears. It is not this physical thing that our eyes sees. That we are mind and intelligence. We are life. We are activity. We are that which God is, that identify is invisible to the so-called human eyes. The man Jesus used several instances in his teaching about a high level of understanding, where an individual went out and planted seeds into the field, tended it, and watched it grow through a process, and then harvested the results. The man Jesus said, you see the seed sprout and go out and process, and then you harvest the results. But I see the fields are already white to harvest. We are already whole, perfect, and complete. The disability that we see only covers the truth of our perfection. In religious science, we use the process of treatment. We also use realization. You have to arrive at a state of consciousness where you can know the truth and reveal and appropriate the results of this knowing. Eric Butterworth says within every person is the unborn possibility of limitless growth, and ours is the privilege of giving birth to it. There is that of you which is centered in God and which is a point of God activity flowing forth into expression as you. And the circumference is limitless. There's no limit to God or to man in God's consciousness. We'll hear more about these ideas as our speaker brings you her message, the truth about wholeness and disability. So now, let us prepare ourselves for treatment. Close your eyes if you like. Find a position that is comfortable for you. As we prepare ourselves for treatment, let us take a deep cleansing breath. Relax as I speak in the first person. You may accept for yourself anything that resonates with you. Let us know there is but one life. That life is God. That life is my life right here and right now. There is one mind, the mind of God, and that mind is creative. I declare in this mind the perfect harmonies, operation, and infinite universe
We lost Norma's connection for a second. We will get her back, but we're going to go to our music for reflection before we go to our speaker. Thanks. So our speaker today is Reverend Mignonne Pollard. She's a Center for Spiritual Living licensed minister and has been a CSL practitioner for over 10 years. She graduated from the Emerson Theological Institute in 2020 and completed additional classes at the Holmes School of Spiritual Leadership in 2021. She's a staff minister at the Center for Spiritual Awareness in West Sacramento. She teaches Centers for Spiritual Living certified classes, and she developed workshops on self-love, kicking love addiction, and attaining prosperity using the works of Catherine Ponder. She believes in the principles of science of mind can change your life for the better. And here she is.
Good morning, CSL Midtown. It's so good to be with you this morning. I am going to speak with you today about CSL monthly themes. And the monthly themes this month is quite a challenge. It's unstatus quo. And we're looking at things that we tend to dismiss or overlook. But if we are to have this grand rising of human wholeness, of the wholeness of humanity, then we need to sort of take a look at those things that we would prefer to ignore. So this day, it is around differently abled people or disabled people. Now, I just have to ask you a question. Have you ever noticed that when you see someone disabled, do you automatically think, their life must be a lot harder than my life? Or do you assume that they need extra support to live and to navigate the world? Well, let me tell you a little story. I used to work, I worked in Cambridge. I worked with a blind man. We were about the same age, but he was my boss. And he was an activist. He was an activist with the American Federation of the Blind. And one day he had a meeting, but all the people that came to the meeting at this office, they were all blind. And it was in the late afternoon. So I was serving as an assistant, sort of helping everyone, making sure everybody was comfortable, making sure everybody had everything they wanted, taking notes on the meeting. And at one point, at the late afternoon, the sun started to go down. And I was in this room and I just didn't move. And slowly, the room got dark. Well, in sort of helping someone, I went to go get a glass of water or something of such. And I ran smack dab into a table. Boom, there was. And they all kind of stopped and they listened and they said, "Mignonne?" And I said, "Yes." They're like, Is it dark outside?" I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "Did you turn on the lights?" And I was like, "No." And they kind of all had this really big giggle. And they were like, "We don't need the lights, but you need the lights. And it's okay if you turn on the lights." So really, it's just a matter of perspective, right? So I turned on the lights and everything went well in the meeting, but I just never remember. I was just like, everybody's just moving right along, doing their thing. And, the sun goes down and they're just sailing right along. Well, I definitely remember that story from my life and just sort of being comfortable in a situation and getting permission to actually turn on the lights. But wholeness in physical conditions, it's an inherent part of our spiritual essence, and it's within each individual. So we are all whole, whether we have disabilities or differences, and those who are differently abled are unique expressions of the one Spirit. Now, I just want to tell you this quote that Ernest Holmes says, and it's what we need to keep in the forefront of our mind. So our first quote, if we can put it up, is this. It's Ernest Holmes' teachings emphasize that every person, without exception, is an individualization of God. Every person. So it doesn't matter whether you are what we would call physically abled or if you are differently abled, you are that individualization of God. That is our deep belief. We don't believe that a disability is a result of a sin or something that we've done wrong in this generation or generations past. We believe that it's just a different expression of the one. And no matter what's brought you here to this life, if you're breathing here now, you too are that individualization of the one God. And just to keep in mind, our second quote is this. Our second quote is, "And the science of mind recognizes that physical or mental conditions do not define a person's worth or limit their spiritual potential." Your physical or mental condition does not define your worth. I had a teacher, she would always say, if you are breathing, you are worthy. And she'd have us say it, breathing, worthy. Breathing worthy. Now, for me, I had an opportunity, a great opportunity, to go to Paris the second week of August. And it was to watch the Olympic Games in person. And it was a marvelous trip. It's something I will never forget and something I will always treasure. But the thing about the Olympics, the games, the venues, the athletes, it was all complete. It was all marvelous. But there's something that happens, and it's going to happen this next week, starting August 28th. And it's called the Paralympics. With every Olympic game comes a twin set of games, the Paralympics. And that is people who are differently able or who have some type of assistance in their body. And they play similar games. They have basketball, they have archery, they have horseback riding, they have all of the different sports, and they compete. This Paralympics, from my perspective, is a demonstration of that no matter what the physical condition, that the competition in sports is available. And the Paralympics show that even that differently able people can compete in a multitude of sports regardless. It shows their wholeness, it shows their spirit, it shows their depth of human spirit. And it's a way to see wholeness in the world, this wholeness and this oneness as they are transcending their physical and mental limitations. So if you need a sort of a boost or a reminder of the absolute wholeness of all people, then the Paralympics is a good place to just see the joy and the wonderment of the human spirit in action. And that's this coming week, and it'll be on for 2 weeks, the Paralympics, also held in Paris, France. Now, disability. My first real encounter with people who are differently abled, it was always not to honor a deficit model. I think we think about disabilities in a deficit model. Back in the late 1980s to the early 1990s, I worked at a place called the Office of Management and Budget in Washington, D.C. I started under the Reagan administration, and I worked between the Reagan and Bush administration. And the Office of Management and Budget is an arm of the executive cabinet of the president. And one of the best things that I worked on, really what I feel like is one of my huge legacies, really is President Bush's legacy. But since I was a main author behind the scenes and unknown of helping him work this through the Congress, it was the American with Disabilities Act. Oh my gosh, such an uproar happened in 1990 when it was finally signed. And when I say Bush, I mean the father, George H. Bush. Anyway, we were talking about disabilities, and the big uproar was, it was people with disabilities were fighting for their wholeness. They were fighting for their rights in the 1990s. And this amazing, wonderful thing happened when it did finally pass. And there was a lot of contention around it, because what it asked people to do is it asked people to retrofit their churches, to retrofit their gas stations. Every building had to be accessible. There needed to be wheelchair ramps and big bathrooms so that wheelchairs could get in the bathrooms. It made this world a little bit easier to navigate for people in wheelchairs. There were bumps put on the street for blind people so that they could use their sticks and figure out how to do that. Voice commands put on walk, don't walk when you're crossing the street. The Americans with Disabilities Act was one of the things that I worked on. So I never quite saw people as not whole, just as needing a different way to navigate the world. And so when you think about people with disabilities, maybe think they have a different way in which they need to navigate the world. I'm very proud that I was a part of that original. It's been amended many times and expanded for a lot more rights, but I am very proud. It's one of my proudest moments to be a part of that legislation, to help get that legislation through. And I think it's really one of the best things that came out of the George H. Bush administration, because it didn't have anything to do with what your party was. It just had to do with people's humanity. And that is the beauty of it all. But let me give you some example of disabilities that the Americans with Disabilities Act regulations talks about. And some disabilities are visible and some are not. So here's some things, and think about this, because some of these things, when you hear them, you might not think that they're disabilities, but they are considered disabilities. So the first on the list is cancer, diabetes, post-traumatic stress disorder, HIV, autism, cerebral palsy, deafness or hearing loss, blindness or low vision, epilepsy, and mobility disabilities, such as those requiring a wheelchair, a walker, or cane. And then there are intellectual disabilities, like dyslexia or other intellectual disabilities. Major depressive disorder is considered a disability, and traumatic brain injury. So when we think about disabilities, even or people differently abled, I think that we can broaden our scope, and we might even fall into one of those categories unknowingly, like, oh my goodness, and not know that that might be considered. So not all disabilities are physical, some are mental, many are not visible, but all are included in God's unique expression of oneself. Now, we don't have to believe that we've got them, again, like I said, because of some generational sin or because of our inherent imperfection. But we believe that spirit expresses itself in multiple ways, and it does this to teach us the lessons in life, and that there are many lessons that can be taught while you're working with or interacting with people who are differently abled. You can learn lessons of compassion and understanding, and they can teach you lessons of strength and courage. And if you find yourself being fully abled and then disabled, you will also learn many lessons in this life. So my work on ADA ensured many things, but it made the life for people with disabilities a little bit easier to navigate this world. And that law recognizes that people who are differently able, but that doesn't take away from their wholeness, and it shouldn't take away from their ability to move freely in this society. So just a word about those who become differently abled. As life goes on, they fall into these categories under ADA. Well, if you're born in what we term normal, and then maybe something dramatic happens and your physical being is altered. If you're born what we call able-bodied, and you go through something that puts you in this disability column, it can be a testament to your faith. You know that there are lessons that can and will be learned, and it's all about your wholeness and your beliefs. And if you're born differently able, there may be reasons for this. There may be lessons that you learn as you walk through your life for yourself and for the others you interact with. Now, I grew up, and I've told you this before, I tell everyone, in St. Augustine, Florida, little town in St. Augustine, Florida. But that little town houses the state school for the deaf and blind. And out of that school came two very famous musicians, which, I'm not sure we think of them at all as disabled. Ray Charles, who came through in my grandmother's time and was quite a ladies' man, I understand, not at all disabled, just differently abled. And Marcus Roberts, quite a gentleman, who is a famous jazz musician. And Marcus is a year ahead of me in school. And I love it because everywhere he is, I go, and if I see him, I go and I say hello. But their blindness, didn't stop them from attending our high school. We had integration. They came in and became a part of our high school and attended the classes, took the music classes, and really Marcus Roberts helped. We had a great music team, great music teachers, but a musical genius always helps up-level things, and he is indeed a musical genius. So the blindness doesn't prevent Marcus from living a full life. He gives back. He gives back to the young people at the School for the Deaf and Blind. He gives back to people all over, whether they're deaf or blind or not. But maybe it is perhaps because of their blindness, maybe, I don't know, that their musical ear is sharper than others. Both Ray Charles and Marcus Roberts became famous musicians that blessed the world with their talent. And I believe that whatever circumstance that the universe puts them in, that God is supporting them in living the fullest expression of their life right here and right now. So each of us, each individual, we all possess in body, mind, and spirit the wholeness of the world. It's just expressed in many different ways. And I hope that just through a couple of these stories, you get an opportunity to see the normalcy of what we might think is someone that is differently abled. We can't judge by external appearances. We just can't judge by external appearances. Each individual, regardless of their ability, physical or mental, each individual is worthy, and each individual has infinite potential. We are embodied in the body that is needed for us to have our own spiritual evolution. We each come the right shape, the right size, the right color, in a way that we move for our own spiritual evolution. Finally, in our CSL communities, we must do everything that we can to support folks that are differently abled. I know that we encourage people who have hard of hearing or a loss of hearing. We encourage them to attend our services by providing deaf interpreters. We include individuals who are differently abled in making decisions about things that impact them. That's a way that CSL could move forward. If there's something that impacts someone who might be differently abled, they might have a little insight on that we don't have, and include them in that decision-making process. And at centers, we just need to recognize and value all of the contributions that they have to give, all of the abilities that they can bring forth. We need to foster an environment of genuine inclusivity. And it may not be easy, but it is necessary. We need to create that space where each and every person feels welcome, feels loved, and can express their wholeness. Now, in conclusion, what I want to say is that the science of mind shows us that each individual is whole and is complete. And that as we openly embrace people with disabilities, people who are differently abled, we create that space of welcomeness. We create that space of wholeness. We create, wait for it, a world that works for everyone. You know what? Let's take this message into prayer, shall we? So if you just take a deep breath with me. And I'm just recognizing that one God, that one presence, that one energy that is back behind all, that energy that gives us the beautiful smell of the lavender field that gives us the wonderful texture of sand running through our hands, that wonderful energy that expresses itself not only in colors and shapes, but in the gentle flow of the waves as they brush across our feet, in all types of feelings. This energy expresses itself as the gentle kiss of the ocean breeze against our cheek. This energy is an energy that is expressing itself in a multitude of ways. And that energy, that creativity, that wholeness of energy is the wholeness that is me. And it is the wholeness that is each and every person here. And I speak my word that each and everyone is moving towards their highest potential, their highest physical potential, their highest mental potential, and that they are a larger expression of the one as life unfolds. And I am just so grateful and thankful. I'm so grateful and thankful that each and every one of us is worthy, that each and every one of us has this breath, that each and every one of us is that individualization of God, blessing one another. I'm so grateful for that, grateful and thankful. And I release this word into the law, and together we say, so it is, and so it is, so it is. Thank you.
Sing the body electric. I glory in the glow of rebirth, creating my own tomorrow, when I shall embody the earth. And I'll serenade Venus, I'll serenade Mars, and I'll burn with the fire of 10 million stars. And in time, we will all be stars. Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Wow. Reverend Pollard selected that song after her talk. So we got that amazing song from the movie Fame. So there was a lot going on today with that differently abled wholeness that we all embody. And thank you for that amazing talk this morning. So with that, we bring to you every week amazing speakers, amazing talks, and that uplift us, uplift our consciousness. And to do that, we need your help. So we get a lot from many of you, and we appreciate all those contributions. They keep us going, keep this center here, bringing this about. So if you would now, you can choose to donate. You can go to cslmidtown.org/donate. You can, if you're online, scan the QR code. That will take you directly to that site. And if you will now say with me our affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. I've got a few announcements coming up. Thank you, Norma, for being our practitioner today. Next week, we start our September theme, Pieces into the Peace, and we've got Reverend Dr. David Alexander as our speaker in person. So if you're in Atlanta, you can join us for the potluck at the Garden Hills Community Center. If you're online, we will broadcast it out to you and record it and have it for later. And remember, this is for October. We're not going to meet the first Sunday. We're going to meet the second Sunday. So next week, we're in person. And the following week, we will be online for the rest of the month. And the first week in October, the second week in October, we will be in person. So with that, I think that's it. So let's now do our affirmation for life. I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is. Have an awesome week, everybody.
Hey, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all that I have. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all that I have. Hey! Oh yeah. Grateful. I just say I am so grateful every day for all I have. Every day. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all I have. Every day I say it. Grateful. How I'm grateful. Every day. Oh yeah. I am so grateful. Oh yeah. I'm so grateful. 'Cause I accept and I receive. I am so grateful. Oh yes, I am. I am so grateful. Hey, grateful. I'll just count my blessings.